Hey, how's everybody doing? Welcome to the worst reviews ever. Today I got the Manic Genius, KC Fred, and Amazing. So before we jump into this review, how's everybody doing?
Good,
Good.
good.
Doing good.
No complaints. No complaints over here.
All right, man. KC Fred, how many Chiefs shirts, sweaters, man? You got an infinite supply down there, man.
Hey, when you the Super Bowl champs, hey, that's what you do. Say you got to represent.
I'm
So we
about to
still
hit them
with
up and be
it,
like, hey, give bro some like advertising money, man. You
buddy.
you over there marketing for them all this. Yeah, they need to hit you up. You're like the biggest fan out here.
Uh, yeah, we about to get another one. You never know.
Nah, not gonna happen this year. You are incorrect, sir. But all right, we'll go ahead and jump into this. So I'll queue up these slides, and man, if you read the first one, I'll butcher the names after that. Some of these names I'm definitely gonna butcher. So y'all help me out if y'all can. But I'll go ahead and pull this up. All right, whenever you're ready.
Wedding Season is a 2022 American romantic comedy film directed by Tom Day from a screenplay by Shawani Shrivastava.
There you go.
Pressured by their parents to find spouses, two young adults pretend to date in order to survive a summer of weddings, but find themselves falling for each other as they struggle to balance who they are with who their parents want them to be.
Appreciate that. All right, the directors and producers. So directed by again Tom Day, written by Shawani Shrivastava, produced by Swati Shetty, Tony Hernandez, and John Hodges. So now we'll go ahead and jump into the cast slide. So the cast: Sharaj Sharma as Ravi. And I think he played in that movie. What was it called? Something Pie. He was on that. I think.
Oh, The Life of Pi?
Life of Pi. Yeah, there you go.
He was
So
on
he definitely got
Homeland
a.
too.
What was that?
He was on that series Homeland that we used to watch.
Oh, okay. That's where else I know I recognize him from. But yeah, he was in quite a few movies. I was looking at his like filmography and stuff. So next we got Pallavi Sharda as Asha, Rizwan Manji as Vijay, Asha's father. I am butchering these. Apologize.
VJ.
Ariana Asfar as Priya, Sean Killer as Nick, Veena Sood as Sunita, Asha's mother, Manoj Sood as Dinesh, Ravi's father. And Amazing brought up a good point. Veena and Manoj are brother and sister in like real life. So yeah, I looked at their filmography. They've been in tons of stuff. So definitely, like I say, like a good cast, like overall. So next is Sonia Dillian Tully as Veena, Ruth Goodwin as Tina, and Damian Thompson as James. So that's the cast. Butchered most names. Apologize again. And we'll move into the rating. Oh, go ahead.
I was just gonna say I also saw that Ariana Afsar, she was actually in the Broadway Hamilton for a couple
Oh,
years.
okay.
She was like one of the main characters, and I knew she did look a little familiar. So when I was looking her up, she was in one of the beginning seasons of I think which is it? I don't think it's The Voice. It was the older one with Simon Cowell and Paula Abdul and all them.
Oh, okay.
American
Yeah.
Idol?
American Idol.
American Idol, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's why I saw her at.
Was a contestant on that as well.
Oh, wow.
Damn. Okay. Wow.
Came a long
Yeah,
way.
'cause she did, man. She getting some roles now. So, no, thanks for that. All right, we'll go ahead and jump into the rating. The main. So, all right, the Manic Genius. What's your rating?
I'm going to give this one a 7.5.
Okay, so if you're looking at the scale, or you can't look at it, he's in a very good territory with a 7.5. All right, amazing.
I was going
What's
with
your
an 8.
Damn. Okay, so again, amazing got it in between very good and excellent territory. KC Fred, what's your rating?
I gave it an 8 too, actually.
Oh, okay. So KC Fred, he's in very good, excellent territory. And I'm around there with Manny the Genius, definitely in a very good territory. So I had it at 7.3. So our outliers would be me and either Amazing or Casey Fred. Y'all flip a quarter. So
Now you can go
we'll
first.
start
You
off.
can go first,
Go
Jerk.
ahead.
Oh, okay, I'll go ahead and set it
Yeah,
off.
since
So
you the only outlier in there, 'cause you lower end.
yeah, pretty much. No, I mean I thought it was a very good movie. I like the plot, the storyline. I like how they kind of captured. I think just even not even talk about the cultural element, but the generation of kids, the newer ones, how they're kind of rebelling against parents and stuff. So it's definitely like realistic. I know we all dealt with like some form of rebellion, but all of us do have kids too. So, you kind of facing that rebellious phase where they want to do things differently. So I like that whole dynamic, how they capture that. But also I like how they capture the cultural element, when a lot of people do migrate over to United States that they're still holding on, they still have their, like, I'll say cultural stuff from, whatever country they come from. But when they come over to America, I think the kids, when they do grow up in United States, they start, kind of picking up some of those different, like I'll say habits and other cultures, and everybody kind of starts integrating. So I like how they kind of captured all that. So overall, I definitely like I said, like the plot, the storyline. I like, there was what's her name, Asha, how she was like moving up in the ranks. The dad was supportive and stuff like that, and then even the other character, the main guy, I forgot his name, Ravi, how he was kind of, free spirited, but also, successful and stuff like that. But, just humble and stuff like that. So yeah, I liked all the movie overall. So that's why I rated it as like I'll say a 7.3. So I'll go ahead and I'll go to Casey Fred first.
Yeah, I actually very much enjoyed the movie. In their culture, you're so used to families always prearranging marriages for their kids. I mean, it's been, tradition of legacy like that. That's, in fact, you found out that's how originally how the parents were, uh, how they were supposed to meet and everything. And people always are all about how much you make and what do you and who are you and do you come from this high esteem, as far as not only your job, but also your family and your generation and stuff. And so for them to be able to meet on their own terms, to be able to see each other and on their own terms, and just because of the way their parents actually pushed this at the beginning, they were trying to reject each other, but found out that, what, we really do like each other. That's where the romance and the comedy really began, because they had to go on all these weddings and pretend, which end up honestly, the more that they were together, finding out that, hey, I really do like you, is more than just attraction here, but we actually get along. And it was just fun to be able to watch. It was like a flower just opening up, and you get a chance to be able to see it and smell it, and it was really cool. So that's why I gave it a 8. I enjoyed it. Asia and what's his name, Ravi? Is that how you pronounce it? I don't even know.
Yeah, Robbie.
Ravi and
Ravi. Okay,
Asa.
Ravi. I'm gonna try to get that right. But yeah, I just like I just like the way it budded the relationship, and then you just saw that it was gonna eventually turn into love. So I thought it was really cool.
All right. The manic genius will go to you, and then we'll go to Amy, since her Fred was close. Me and you was kind of in a very good territory.
Okay. I gave this what a 7.5.
Yeah, 7.5.
Yeah. So I honestly wanted to. I'm a sucker for romantic comedies. That's kind of like my jam. So off rip, after
No,
watching
I'm
it.
joking.
So what? So like off rip, watching the movie in like totality, I wanted to give it in like the 8, like 8.5, like almost flirting around like the 9 territory. But there was just some things that happened in the movie that was just like, man, I gotta drop this back. Like, um, I think it starts off really good. Because it definitely uh from the jump. Like the music is good. Like, it's like energetic, and then they tell the story immediately. Like, so there's not so much of, a lot of dead space when the movie starts. The movie starts off hot, and then the middle of it, it's like it's not too much longer before they meet, and then everything's explained, and they both have a similar problem. What I didn't, wasn't, it was just like, it fell off a little bit for me, was the whole like influence of the aunties and like why that really mattered that much. It was romantic comedies, they supposed to have some like funniness in it, but I just didn't find it as funny. But I guess it's a real thing with the pressure of like different families. So I respected it. Um, I don't going to get too much into the ending, but just what was revealed at the end was just like, oh, I got to drop this a whole point. So I really wanted to give it like an 8.5. Like if the ending would have just been different, just not as extreme as it was. It was just over the top. So it's just like, um, I felt like it was a really good movie, and it would be like a movie I would want to see. And then they gave it like a Hallmark ending, or like a Lifetime ending, where it's just like, man, you had a great movie, a great concept, and this could have been like theater worthy. And then you throw this like regular television, like fictitious scenario on top of it. So I had to drop it a whole point. So realistically, I wanted to give it like an 8.5. I think if they would have tweaked, just the reveal at the end, it would be, flirting around like the classic territory, because it was an enjoyable movie to watch.
All right. I'm definitely gonna when we circle back to the storyline, you gotta give us the
Yeah, yeah,
a little more detail on that. I'm interested. All right, amazing. Why did you give this a 8 rating?
I like all types of movies, and for this romantic comedy, I think it definitely followed kind of the typical romantic comedy. But to me, what made it different was just kind of the cultural, kind of Indian flair to it, which I thought was different. And also I thought the characters' performances, everybody just meshed, I thought, so well together, where Ravi and Asha, like I just thought their chemistry was great. And I think although it was a movie, again, that kind of had the typical fake dating, because I've seen several of those type of series, short series and or movies. But it's really dependent on the cast, I think, at this point. If you're going to do a storyline that's pretty typical, to me, what will stand it apart is the cast. And I thought they just did such a good job with the cast, where if it was the same storyline, but potentially different characters or people playing those characters, I may not have liked it as much. But I just thought that cast went so well together.
Definitely. All right, we'll go ahead and move to the open discussion question. So let me pull this up real quick. All right, and I'll start with Fred on the first one. Would you recommend this movie to anyone?
Oh yeah, definitely. I really enjoyed it. I think everyone would love uh, to see a movie where all of a sudden two people that you probably would think, oh man, at the beginning it looks like they don't like each other, but then all of a sudden you could tell they were physically attracted to each other, but it was just because of their past and just because of their parents being, too busy trying to push them together that they were trying to restrain. But then you see like I said, the budding of a seed that's getting ready to grow, that love there that's being planted, and you find yourself rooting for them. And so I think a lot of people would definitely would want to watch that movie, and I would definitely recommend it.
All right, amazing. Would you recommend this movie to anyone?
Yeah, I would recommend it to everybody. Again, I think it was a good movie. I don't necessarily know if I'd recommend it for like a movie theater movie. Maybe the first time. I don't want to jump ahead, but even like watching it again, I couldn't see maybe movie theater, but definitely just on TV. So I would recommend it.
All right, man, genius. Would you recommend this movie to anyone?
Short answer, yes.
That was very short. No, I would definitely recommend this movie to anyone. Like I said, I really enjoyed it. I thought it was a good movie. So we'll go ahead and we'll jump. Would you ever watch this again? And I'll start this off. Yes, I'll definitely watch it again. And I'll toss it to you now, Manic Genius. Would you watch this again?
Yeah, I watch it again.
All right. How about you, Amazing?
Yep.
Casey,
Fred, would you watch this movie again?
Actually, I would. It was interesting because before you guys picked this movie, I had already seen it before. So it was really fun to be able to realize, oh man, yeah, that movie, you know. So I just thought that was really cool. So I was excited to be able to watch it again because there was a lot of funny parts in there. So I enjoyed it.
All right. So we'll go ahead and jump into the third question. What did you think about the plot or the storyline? And we're going to the Man of Genius first on this one.
I think the plot was really good. Loved the plot actually. And even the storyline. The storyline was very consistent all the way through. There wasn't really any, crazy parts until like the end reveal. Just with Ravi's financial situation. That was the part that just like, oh man, this was going so well. And then it's just like, this is just unrealistic now. Like they had a perfectly good romantic comedy that could have had like a nice little ending, and they overdid it, with his situation at the top. And it's just like, and then once you find out that information at the end, you have to, or you don't have to, but I look at the movie and like, hey, how realistic is this? Now that we know this information, at the end, it's like, it's not realistic at all. There would have been like so many other signs, it would have been like, I mean, he would have been taken already off the market. Like he would have been, he'd have been just living a completely different life. Like so the plot was really good. The storyline was really good until the very ending. And then it's just like, it challenged me to like look at that movie completely differently and like almost go back and dissect every single scene and like, nope, that's unrealistic. That's unrealistic. And it's just like such a good movie. And I definitely could have sat down in theaters and watched it and been like, oh man, this was a really good, movie, romantic comedy, had that end been changed. So
all right, I'll go ahead. I'll jump on this one. Yeah, I think the part you're talking about, we were kind of discussing a little bit. Yeah, that was, I think I didn't like that part too much either, the like you said, but other than that, I think the storyline, like I said, it had all the other dimensions, whether it was like kids kind of rebelling against their parents, but also it had a dynamic of, like people integrated in, America, where you have like the, parents that probably just came over, but also you have like the second and third generation type aspect. Then you have like the peer pressure coming from everybody to like, either where's like gossiping about families and stuff like that. So I like how they kind of tied all those different things in, like that society pressure that be coming at people to like live up to other people's expectations and stuff like that. I thought it was pretty hip too, man. So I like that element where they were younger, younger generation, and they, had like good careers, different careers and stuff like that, and how they kind of tied that in, like, bringing in diversity and stuff like that. So yeah, no, I thought it was a very good plot and storyline. So yeah, I really liked all those like aspects to the movie. And then I thought also they didn't force the comedy in this. Like it was funny naturally. I think a lot of times, people feel like they got to like jam comedy in there, but it was like natural funny, and I think what Amazing was saying, like the cast, I think it seemed like, it just flowed nicely to even the point where I think like Ravi and Asha, they made a good couple. You can actually see them together. It's like, hey man, y'all might need to holler at each other. So all right, we'll go ahead and toss it to Amazing. What did you think about the plot or the storyline?
Again, I thought it was good based on primarily based on the cast. I thought it was very humorous, and I liked that it was. I thought the cliches slash stereotype stuff, they did it in good taste versus, like you see some movies where I just thought this was very funny, lighthearted, and in good taste. So I thought that, and then again, I just liked kind of how I liked the whole flow of thing. I liked how Robbie's how that kind of came out. To me, that was very realistic. I thought, finally he just got sick of the pressure. He had been hiding it for so long, but he did have that nice little house. You know what I mean? Because when the scene where she walked into the home and she was kind of like, wait a minute, how do you afford this? Um, so I wasn't extravagant, I didn't think, but to me I thought it was movie believable. So I liked everything about it. Mhm.
All right, Casey, Fred. I gotta give you some pushback later. But
Yeah, I got some pushback.
Casey, Fred. What did you think about the plot or the storyline?
I thought it was really cool. I really loved the second chances. I think Ravi and Asia were coming from their past where all of a sudden they thought that they had the one that they were supposed to be with in their past, and on both sides it didn't work. They both thought, even in their careers, that they thought they would be at a different level or a different place, and they weren't. And so they had to get a second chance even on that. And when they finally realized that, hey, I need to be true to not just myself, but also my career and what I'm really striving to do, they kind of linked on each other. And I really felt like because they linked on each other, they pushed each other to be able to be the best versions of themselves, which ultimately all of a sudden blossomed of them really falling for each other. And so I really liked the plot. I enjoyed the storyline, and there was some very, like I said, funny parts. And then they also got a chance to be able to see other people like their sister and Nick, who I thought was just hilarious because he was just doing everything he could to be able to be a part of that family. Uh, and he was like what was he, a neurosurgeon or something like
Yeah,
that.
yeah. Nick was the ultimate white guy. Like,
And he was just going to the extreme to be able to prove his love and to be able to fit in. And so I just thought that was hilarious. And then even Asia's boss, how he was all of a sudden not only guiding her, but also helping her to be able to get a second chance with the people that she was trying to prove that she could actually be number one and get to that next level in her career. So, I mean, there was just a lot of things that I saw that the storyline was doing it. But the basis of it is, two people being able to get that second chance, and not only in love but also in life. And they were decided, you know what, we're going to throw caution to the wind and really just go for it. And it just happened to be, the more they were around each other with these weddings, the more they really saw each other for who they really were. And I thought it was really cool. So I enjoyed it.
all right, man. So we'll go ahead and jump into the fourth question. What scenes or performances stuck out to you? And we'll go to Mason first on that. Please leave some for the rest of us. So. Amazing, be like, look, scene 15, like, hey.
I'll keep it very broad. No, so I already said a lot about the actresses or the actor slash actresses in the opening. So I thought I liked some of their backgrounds. Probably some of the favorite performances to me were the wedding scenes, and just the dress everybody wore, their wardrobes and things like that, the music, the dance. I loved all of that. And I actually recently was just looking at coworkers' pictures, and they are Indian, and they had a very traditional wedding, and their weddings actually last like several days. And she was showing me all the pictures, and it was the most gorgeous several days ever. I wanted to ask her, like, I felt like if you attended that wedding, you better come with like $1,000 gift if you got to go. So those are my favorite scenes just because I thought the way, that culture for their weddings are just extravagant and gorgeous. I suppose if you have the funds to do so.
About to say, you give me $1,000 gifts. Next wedding I have, I'm definitely inviting
Oh yeah. So she coming to your wedding?
you. Yeah, if I ever have a wedding again, I'm
No, I
inviting
was
you.
saying that if I had attended the wedding or the pictures I saw over the days, the amount of money that had to have went into that, um, I would expect people were just showering amazing gifts to be
Yeah,
able
you
to
can't
attend.
show up with a Tupperware set from
No, you
Walmart. You
cannot.
definitely you
You absolutely can.
Amy coming there with a Ziploc set, talking about a. But all right, Casey, Fred, what scenes or performances stuck out to you?
Um, I enjoyed the several scenes, like the one scene when you find out that Asia's mom and dad, that wasn't her first choice. Um, and so, but then all of a sudden she does end up getting with their dad, and then all of a sudden getting married and stuff. And so, she herself had a previous relationship that she thought was going to be number one, and she was going to end up marrying that person, Asia, and it did not work. And so here it is, a second chance's opportunity is given to her. Same way within her career, she blows it the first time, but then all of a sudden her boss, um, tells his story about how, he was from, I think, Jamaica or something like that, and he had to prove himself. And it was like, hey, I'm going to get these people back for you, but you need to be able to prove yourself and show them who you really are. And the lady had even said, hey, give me some substance. Tell me what you're all about. And so she had that second opportunity to be able to do that. And she just nailed it. I mean, it was awesome. I enjoyed that speech that she gave. And it was the story about her family, and and just letting them know that this is what the company brings and this is who we are. And I just thought that was fantastic. Um, I also love the scene with her and her sister, that she had to get her sister over the broom and talk to her because she was having cold feet and everything. And she's like, "Hey, I would give my right arm to be able to have somebody that loves you, that's trying to impress you and trying to do all these things like what Nick was doing." And she was like, if you love him, you need to just go for it. And then of course she had to learn that lesson quick, because she had to do it in her own life with with her man. So I just thought that was really interesting. I did love the simple fact that he Nick went all out with the elephant and
Yeah.
with the sword and and everything. I thought he was going to hurt himself. I really did. I was laughing the whole time. But he just wanted to let her know, it was like, hey, I will do whatever it takes because I'm ready to go the extra mile. I love you that much. And I just thought all she saw, and she was smiling, and it looked like the little tears were coming down. And she was like, you know what? This is what love is all about. And so I enjoyed that part. And there was another thing I enjoyed was the secretary. The secretary was like,
Yeah,
she
she had me
said,
rolling.
what did she say to him? She said to her, she said, if you don't go after this dude or this situation, I will kill you, or something like that. She said, because at the end of the day, she saw that this opportunity for her career to be able to go overseas and stuff was like, I'm going to miss you, but this is what you work for. I've watched you and I've seen you, and here you are, rise to the occasion. You need to go for that, and you need to go with this dude. And it was just, the whole thing was really cool. It was a bunch of life lessons in there. And I get the ABC special that, Manic is thinking about the the lifetime and everything, especially at the end. But you know what? that's all about the romantic movies, man. We got a bunch of them getting ready to come for November and December, and it was just like, you know, the feel good to be able to have a smile on your face. You want to be able to see really love not only survive but thrive, and I felt like it really did that in this. So those were kind of like the performances that stuck out, at least for me.
We had to hook you up after all those horror movies, Frederick. So I'm
Hey,
glad you're
you know what?
excited. You're uplifted now. You know you're upbeat. You
I
know
ate all my nachos and
Your
peas,
smile.
man.
your
I
feng
was
shui is
feeling
on. It
good.
was on 10 now. So I'm glad you're happy, man. You're excited. We were.
You know, life is good.
But all right, the man and genius. What scenes are actress performances stuck out to you?
I think to Amazing's point, I think the chemistry between the leads, both Ravi and Asha, I think they were on point. Like the chemistry felt very real. It didn't feel forced at all. Like the script, those the writing, like all of that was like top notch, phenomenal. There was like witty banter going on. So I think that really stuck out. The first scene that stuck out that was just like, um, was on their first date when she paid. Um, because I feel like a lot of times this is, you know, what makes people delusional when they see movies like this, like a woman never pays, never offers to pay. I think that's just part's just unrealistic. I mean,
Facts.
at that point, this movie that was a romantic comedy almost went into like science fiction, like fantasy. So
I paid on my first date to my husband. Just saying.
did
That
you
is a
pay
lie.
or did you go Dutch?
I paid for everything.
Was it your choice?
Yes, I offered.
You
When we
offered.
got
Okay.
there, I offered.
Okay. I don't want to put y'all business out there, but
Dig it. Let's go.
Jerk did tell me the story. Wasn't it a birthday of some sort?
Yeah. Was it like
I didn't know
it was
that
a
when
random
we went.
Tuesday. It was like, hey, I want to
didn't
take you
know.
out. You seem like a nice guy.
Yeah. So I rest my case.
Wait, I didn't ask you out. I didn't ask him out. He asked
Okay.
me out.
So-
We got there, and then I offered to pay.
That is
when he
incorrect.
mentioned it was.
The
Get back
story
to
is
the-
steadily
Go back to the
changing.
movie. Let's go back to the movie. Sorry for that
Yeah,
interruption.
so
I'm just
this
saying
is
it's not a fantasy.
the delusion that happens when
You saw it firsthand.
this is happening live. You are all a witness. So yeah, that part was just like, oh man, like gotta ding that. Like that was probably a whole half point. Just that, you know, that first initial scene. And it's like if it would have been like, hey, his profile would have been like, hey, I'm this broke guy really struggling, then like possibly she's like, hey, you know what, I'm forced to be here. I already know your situation because, you know, it's on your profile. I'll take care of it, you know, because she's getting something out of it. But a first date, no, she's not. No. You know, that's just unrealistic. Like, yeah, completely. Even if women are okay with going Dutch, like they're not gonna pay off the rip like everything and cover it. So, you know,
You're
that's
dating the
is
wrong
cooking
people,
tonight.
Manic. He's
that's
dating the wrong people. It's all coming out right now.
This boy is cooking tonight.
I'm just being honest. So it's just like this movie jumped from romantic comedy to like fantasy sci-fi for a minute. And then the the end, you know, I always talk about it's like, hey man, I just didn't like how it ended. Because I think in romantic comedies, there's always such a great opportunity to make the ending hilarious. And it's just like they had an opportunity to make it funny, but still make it real and raw and authentic and like still have the message of, hey, when you find somebody really good, it doesn't really matter all that other stuff. But they like overloaded it with this like idealistic, like this movie would have been over in, you know, after you know what happens in the end, this movie would have been over at date one. Like if the situation was known, and I mean he would have carried himself a little differently, I think. And it just doesn't match up with his actions and, you know, how he was maneuvering. Yeah. So I think that initial where she pays is like that's the scene that really stuck out because I'm just like, dang, off the rip, like this was going so well. But it kind of just sets it up for like how delusional the ending would be.
So I got just a little pushback because if
Get
you
him
notice,
KC
I don't
first.
know how many different Indian movies you've seen, but you notice how they was like dancing at the end. I mean, that's even in your movie that you recommended.
No, he's talking about.
3
I
Hours.
think the scene before that, not the dancing part. I think he's
Oh,
talking about the
Are we
rollout.
talking about where they're at
I'm
the
talking
wedding?
about Ravi's
Is that what you're talking
finances.
about? Huh?
I'm talking about Ravi's financial situation.
Oh, are you talking
Yeah.
about the Facebook and being a millionaire? Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah. His overall financial, status. Like that's the part where it's like delusional, but everything else is good. I mean,
So
they could have
when they
made
said when they
they could
but
have made him have some money and made him have like a decent situation, but not to like that extreme. That's just like over the top. And then it
When you
just
talking about like
so
a mega millionaire, how he was, and
yeah,
just
multimillionaire.
so
Like,
humble, like
yeah,
go,
exactly.
yeah.
No, no. He's flexing. He was a DJ. Like
but
he's
he was a
around
famous DJ that a
a
lot of people
famous.
didn't know.
No,
So
a
in a
lot of
sense,
people
he
knew
was
he had
rich, and
thousands
he
of followers
said he was
on
wilding
his
out when he
social.
was overseas.
I mean, I
Yeah.
could give him the DJ part, but I kind of you saying he should have had like a Lamborghini.
Yeah, and I mean, off the rip, he had that beat up old van. Like,
But he was keeping it in secret, though. You remember? Because the whole thing about it is he was living a bunch of lies that a lot of people didn't know. And the more that he was around his family, he had to act like all of a sudden he was really struggling. But the reality is he was giving all this money, and he even had this little shell company that he was helping out his family that they didn't even know about. So at the end of the day, it was like he was playing undercover brother because he was being two people at the same time.
yeah.
So to me, I kind of felt like, okay, I get what he was doing because at the end of the day, people just wasn't understanding his career path. And so it was very good for him, but it just felt like people from his family tree wouldn't accept it. And his auntie was just like, oh, we're ashamed, and the reality is, if you knew what was really who he really was, there was nothing to be ashamed about. And so that's why I felt like his Ravi's parents had to come to grips with that and said, hey, he's still your son. I know he didn't go to MIT, and graduate like the way you wanted him to, or the tradition of maybe Indian families, but he's still your son and you should accept him because that's who he is. And so I felt like that. And then when they found out that that's what he was doing, I think that just changed the game too.
But I mean, I hear you, and I mean that's a mature thing to do. But like somebody who's young and at the age that they're at, single, it's just not realistic with the lifestyle that he was living and leading on to. Because you mean to tell me his parents never came to his crib? His parents never seen how? Because his place was nice. His place was nice. It wasn't like
But
super
he was never
luxurious.
there, bro. He was never there. Remember, he said he just came back. He just came back, but he had been
Yeah.
gone for a long time.
For
So
sure.
they really never knew where he was.
For
And
sure,
he
I
came
get
back
that, but
specifically for his family
even if
to
he,
be there because for the
yeah,
longest time he felt ashamed.
yeah, but even if he was only there for 2 weeks at a time, he was there long enough to attend every last wedding. So that is that defeats that right there. And then you'd mean to tell me his parents never came over one time and seen that, like, hey, you living kind of nice, you living kind of plush over here.
His
They never
parents
came,
were working to the bone trying to
but they
get
never
their
came
things
over one
taken
time. I don't know how their families are.
care
Yeah, no, I think he probably lied.
Yeah,
That's the vibe I got from the
Well, he
movie
been
where he
lying the
like
whole
probably
time.
hit it like, oh, I'm staying in a typical like not so good place and stuff. So maybe he did some of that. So I didn't
man,
hold too.
their parents
They
were just
saw
so
his
much. Their
van,
parents were
so they
so
knew.
nosy that there's no way that they wouldn't know their situation as far as where they're
But I
living
mean, he
and
was
where they're
kind of
going
one
to
of
be.
those like free spirit people, like would just take off and then come back. So they
Mhm.
probably just like maybe respected those boundaries and stuff. So
Yeah, yeah. I just like I said, yeah. that was like everything aligning with his, his financial situation, his financial wealth was just like it was unnecessary. I think it would have been a great movie. It would have been a great movie if he was like, that was like his side hustle, or like, he wasn't the owner of this whole, like, it was just too much. If he like had some influence and maybe he influenced something, like that would have been still cool. But it's just like to make him be this everything so perfect align, it's just like it just aligns up with like a Hallmark movie, which is like at the end of the day, you already know what's gonna happen. So why even watch those? Like those romantic comedies are not even romantic comedies. Those are just romance movies that are just fictitious. That's why they're on TV and not ever gonna make it to a theater. I think this movie had like potential to make it to a theater and like was everything else other than like the crazy fantasy fictional situations. Like this would have been a nice theater movie in my opinion. I watch a lot of romantic comedies, so this was up there. Well, I watch all romantic comedies, uh but nah, I don't know too much about the I'll just say brown because that's the terminology that they reference in the movie. I don't know too much about the brown culture, but it seemed very interesting, and I don't know how accurate it is, but I enjoyed it.
Yeah, no, definitely good plot storyline, and maybe some parts wasn't too believable, but then again, if they made everything connect, I don't think it would be much of a movie. So I kind of break down the scene. You got any more scenes, Manic? Or
Oh no, that's it.
yeah. So now, as far as the scenes, I liked the first scene that you didn't like, Manic. I thought that was a good scene, man. How she paid, because she was just kind of being like an asshole, I'll say, in that scene. Like she was trying to sabotage the date. So
Oh
she
no,
was like,
oh, my bad. I don't want you to get mixed with. I hated that whole scene. I actually liked that scene. I just didn't like that one part where she paid, but because it's just unrealistic. But go ahead, my bad. I didn't mean to cut you off.
yeah, no, but I just think it fit for what she was trying to sabotage it, where she was just like, typically like, yeah, females don't pay, so I'm gonna pay just to like throw him off. And so when they sat down and they were like talking, she was just like giving short answers, and he was kind of like, I'm out of here. Like, yeah, I don't really like you either. You don't like me. Our parents set this up.
You
Hey,
could
I'm
tell she
going on
was
my
trying to
way.
get
So
rid
he
of
just
him.
dipped out. She ate both of the burgers and stuff. So I thought it was a pretty good scene, man. Like the capture, like the mood, how they were just burnt out. Then I like how it tied in when they saw each other at the wedding. They're like, oh, here she goes. But then they came up with a deal because it was just like, hey, like this is gonna benefit us both and stuff. And I thought that was probably predictable. Like they was gonna eventually end up with each other.
Mm-hmm.
And there was some, like I said, I understand like your rollout where you're talking about like as far as like him releasing that he had like all the money. So they probably didn't have to use like that specific, like, well, maybe one of that first startup that everybody's talking about didn't work out.
Mm-hmm.
But maybe it was a different one that he did that kind of won. So maybe that they could have put that little spin on there, and I could get more into details in that. But the other scene that I really like besides that beginning one, I definitely like the one scene where her dad walked in the park with her and was like telling her like, hey, you need to go and take that opportunity because I dealt with a lot of setbacks and stuff like that, and I don't want that from you. So it's just like, I like how he did that breakdown. And one of the scenes that they didn't really talk too much, but I thought was tough was, when they were going out on a date and they was they was in front of the pizza shop, and it was like the rain was pouring, and then the scene was kind of like, I thought that was a tough shot. Like whoever was like did that scene, it kind of reminded me of some of the Notebook, the raining scene. So I really like that film work on that section, that shot. So I really like that one. That stood out. Like I said, they didn't say too much. It was like right before she got the call about like, hey, they're bumping up the presentation, and she was panicking. And that's when he kind of started like giving her like, hey, nah, go from your heart and all that. But I thought that section before that, like that still shot, it was raining and it was like real bright. I really like that like shot right there. So all right. So we'll go into the fourth question. And I know there's definitely gonna be some changes based on Manic's responses. If you were the director or the producer of this movie, what would you change or do differently? And I'll go to Amazing on this. Or would you even change anything at all?
I want to say no. The one thing that I just would maybe change, but I don't think anybody else would think anything of it, is I would have changed Nick to be
like he could still be a doctor, but not a neurosurgeon. I felt like he was way too funny and happy-go-lucky for that. He should have been like a different professional. Nothing against neurosurgeons, but they don't act like that. So
Yeah, he would have been trying to do too much impressing. I think his title alone, the time he walked in there talking about a neurosurgeon, everybody been like, wrap that up, marry this guy. Like,
he's interested in you.
yeah. All right. Oh, go ahead.
Oh, I was just saying nothing really though. That was the only thing that kind of caught my attention.
All right. So Casey, Fred, if you were the director or the producer of this movie, what would you change or do differently?
I guess I'm gonna be different than everybody else. I actually liked it. There's pretty much nothing that I would change, only because, like I said, you see two people that really felt like they were being pushed together, but then when they realized, when they finally did come together, they realized that, you know what, we're vibing, and they saw each other for who they really are. I loved the scene when they were on a date, and all of a sudden she was really tired and she fell asleep on him, and then he just lets her sleep and puts the cover over her, and just shows that, hey, I'm a gentleman. And I know a lot of guys wouldn't have done that, what I'm saying? So I'm looking at Manning. He's like,
why are you looking at me, Manning? I knew he was looking at me. He's looking at me. As soon as he looked at the camera, I'm like, I know he's looking at me. But no, he did exactly what I would do. I would absolutely do that. Put the cover over her and tuck her in and just go about my business.
Is that what you're saying? Then hit the fantasy level?
Huh?
It's definitely fantasy. They were eating tacos in that decked out place.
Yeah. She was okay with Taco Bell.
Yeah.
Let me find a woman okay with Taco Bell. We might get married right then on the spot.
Who doesn't like Taco Bell? The Crunch Wrap? Come on, stop it.
But just that simple, man. It was like she paid. Then that it was just like, all right, like
she paid.
She was mad, when he like put the money into the like fund to help her out. Come on, man, like.
Yeah.
But all right, man.
She was gonna be mad anyway. She was mad when she thought that was, that he had moved on and that was his girlfriend. Come to find out that was his cousin. So, and she finds that out at the wedding. So, but she was pouring her heart out, when they were at the little restaurant and he's talking to his cousin and he's thinking, oh man, she moved on. Well, I'm gonna just tell you how I feel and then I'm gonna roll out. And then she just happens to get in the car just in the nick of time to drive off before he could get out there and explain. And so then he has to confess his love, and hurry up and do that at the wedding or whatever. And she was like, well, what about so-and-so? What? That's my cousin. I'm not trying to get with her. I'm trying to get with you. So
that's a little creepy to have a picture of your cousin. Just a solo picture like that. And it's like, ooh. I know she's your cousin, but why you got this? Why you have this picture though? This is kind of creepy to be just chilling at your crib. No other family members around, just you and your cousin, like looking like a couple. That's creepy. Red flag.
Hey, if you were the director or the producer of the movie, what would you change or do differently?
Oh, I think I've been saying it throughout the whole movie. Definitely would have changed the ending. I would have made him have a decent situation, but I think I would have made it a little bit more funny to make it like not that great either. Like it would have been like, I would have made the audience go from like, cause it went from like a high. It's like, oh, okay, he's this great guy you guys are working on. And it's like, and then it took them to the low when they surprised them with the family and the family found out, hey, wait, you actually didn't even graduate MIT. I love when the mother was just like, oh, it's okay. When you left when did you go back? Like everybody, you were only 16. Like how long ago before you came back and graduated though? Like, what's that answer? And he's just like, I never went back. She's like, oh, Like, he's a bum. And then that's what even the dad said that, and the mother like responded, "Don't talk about my son like that." It's just like that's like it shows so much different dynamics, like the opposite family wanting their child to be with somebody really good, and then the dad being realistic about it, like, "Dude, you're a loser, like you suck," and the mom being like, "Oh, even though he sucks, like he's my son, he can't do no wrongs," like that whole dynamic. So I think they did an excellent job, capturing that scene, and that would have been one of the scenes I would have mentioned that really stuck out because it was like such a high and then down to a low, and then when he revealed that like what he actually does, and you know how vested he is in his charitable organization is really just him because he has millions of dollars and slowly dishes it out to enable his dad to break his back doing back-breaking work. Like he could have did so many other things to like help his family situation. Like a rich investor could have came by and bought the restaurant, but wants him to manage it. Like he could have did so many different things to like make his dad not have to like break his back like that.
But I think that old school, man,
Well, he said it. He said it himself. It's like,
Yeah.
yo, my dad's old school. He's stubborn. So it's just like I get that, but when you have resources, and from what he had, it was just too unrealistic. So that would be the thing I would change. I would have made his situation. I would have took the audience, from that low to like a medium high, and then it would have still been like because then you could have really stressed on her really just liking him for who he is, and she doesn't even care that his situation is not as great as she thought it was. Because then that's like where you tap into the real romance part. But it's just like they saw it from a lens of I think honestly they saw it from a lens of a woman, and it's just like, of course she's gonna get the best thing. Like this guy's multimillionaire, good dude, loyal, all this stuff, and it's just like just feeds into like every Hallmark Lifetime movie, everything that's recommended for TV, because the story's like clear as day. Two people, they're gonna get together, they're gonna fall in love, they're gonna have a great situation. He's gonna rescue her from herself. Like this dude has no foundation other than his finances, so which is works perfect because her situation, she needs to travel to London, so he can go there, not an issue. So it's just like it was too perfect.
Oh, Martin, I feel like you need a hug by somebody so bad.
Yeah, Martin just he want everything.
No, I just wanted to be
I
more
get some of his
realistic,
points.
man. I just wanted to be more realistic. It would have been funnier if it was more realistic. If he had like if he just, because they could have did so much with comedy. Like just forget the whole romance section for a little bit. Like they were doing really good with the whole witty banter, and they could have really did something at the end to like they could have gave him such a funny job that it would have been like, it's not that bad when you really think about it. Like they could have made us think, and like, is she really going to stay with him, or is this going to really be it? Is it only it because now she knows he's not really that? Like it could have really showed her character. She could have. It just could have been so much more depth.
Yeah, kind of. That's interesting. So I'll go ahead and jump into my like little changes. I got two major ones. So kind of piggyback it off of what Manic is saying, where I think the point where Asha came to the restaurant and she caught him there and she was like spilling her guts. And then I thought it would have been funny if that wasn't his cousin and he actually moved on. He's like, yeah, you missed your turn. And by the way, I'm a millionaire. I think if they would have done something like that, it was like a clean cut somewhat. That would have been funny as hell, but it would have definitely messed up the movie. So the other change that I would have made was like probably towards the end when she like gave the presentation, the second one. And I think if she still like botched it after the heartfelt like speech, they would have been like, hey, where's the numbers at? Like, that's nice, but where's the numbers now? She would have messed the job up, had to stay there. And then, it would have worked out where she would have got like the job. He, like Manning said, he's a millionaire. He's going to like go wherever she goes and stuff. So it would have been like, kind of played out to be realistic. It would have kind of gave that funny spin where it's just like, nah, we don't see the numbers this time. So yeah, we're going to move on. Like, nice speech though. So yeah, I think that would have been like that, like you said, that realistic somewhat thing with some humor in there, where she didn't get like every single thing lined up, perfectly, where it would have put that like little spin or angle on it. Yeah, so maybe my first one would have worked out too much, but yeah, definitely if she would have failed the second time on the speech, she didn't get the promotion. They were like, you know what, you might be even get fired. So yeah, those would have been my two little like revisions on a movie that I would have made. So all right, man, we'll jump into the last one. So now that you guys heard other people's perspectives, would you like to change your score or keep it the same? I'll go to you first on this, Manic.
I'm gonna change it a little bit after hearing what everybody had
All
to
right,
say.
hold on. Let me pull the scale back up.
Yeah. Originally I had a 7.5. I probably drop it to a 7.2. Yeah.
Okay. All right, Fred. Would you drop it down or would you keep your score the same or go higher?
I really liked it, and I think so many times we want everything to, because we're Americans and we kind of expect everybody else to be like our stuff, but this was from their perspective, from their culture, and they were just showing it from a different lens, and so because of that, I really enjoyed it. I would love to be able to give it, probably boost it up to maybe even a 8.5, maybe, because I really enjoyed it, and even the ending. And I even, like I said, the way they ended is, I've seen it so many different times, where they're all dancing together. That's how a lot of their movies end, especially in Bollywood. I think that's one of the major things where a lot of their movies come from, or whatever. And so it was just very enjoyable. It was lighthearted, and like I said, they brought the funny also, but they want to definitely show you that there is a place for second chances, and it's not over. Whether it's in your career or whether it's in love, you can bounce back, and you can all of a sudden go higher than you was before. You don't have to stay the same. So I really enjoyed it.
Yeah.
So 8.5 for me. Yeah.
8.5. All right, Fred with the bump up. Manic had the drop down. Amazing.
I'll follow suit with Fred. I'll go ahead and bump up to 8.5 too. I agree with everything.
What are you, twins? I will follow Fred.
Back off, Fred.
All right, fam.
So 8.5 for both of them, even though they originally started with an 8. So they're in unison today. And I'm gonna bump it up too, man. I had it like 7.3, so I'm gonna go up to about like 7.8, which is still very good, understanding them perspectives and stuff. I because I like what Fred was saying. I do like the dancing, man. I love Bollywood movies because, man, they know how to have fun with their movies, man. Regardless what they do, man, they just have that positive like energy and stuff. So I do enjoy their movies, and I just like all the dynamics of this. So like going back, I was like, yeah, I definitely should have had a higher and stuff like that. Even though all of us had it in very good territory. It's just like, all right, you guys had it in excellent. We had it in very good. So definitely a well-written movie. Some parts I'm with Manny. They should have tried to change it a little bit, because it's like, man, you don't want like a perfect story all the time. I was like, man, throw a little twist in there. Yeah. So
that they can't just overcome with just basic. Yeah, go ahead. My bad.
Oh no, go ahead. Because I like.
No. That's all I was gonna say.
Yeah. So it's just like sometimes I think people are too scared to throw like that curveball in, and it's just like, nah, man, that'd be funny. Like twist it up a little bit. So I think like they did have some opportunities, but throughout, man, I like how it was like more urban. They had to mix with the generation that had a kind of generation divide and stuff going on. So I know that's playing out like crazy now. So I like how they connected that. And then, like I said, I'm just a big fan of like Bollywood, Indian movies. I love the culture too. So yeah, I like how they capture that whole dynamic. So yeah, no, definitely great movie. So we'll go ahead and close this one out. Anything else anybody else wanted to capture, or if not, we'll go ahead and go around. So, Manny Genius, where can we find you at? What parting words?
You can find me anywhere where a woman's willing to pay for the first date.
Taco Bell, baby.
No doubt.
That's where you can find me.
All right, man, looking for that sugar mama. He's KC Fred. What parting words? Where can we find you at?
Wait, hold on.
Yeah.
Hold on. Let me correct that. Any beautiful woman.
Yeah.
Any beautiful woman that's in shape, physically fit and healthy. That's
Okay,
what I mean.
Manic, he's added some credentials, some qualifiers. So if you
First
meet
date.
those things and
That's
willing to
still
kick out a
pretty
little bit of
rap,
bread,
though,
please hit up the Manic Genius. He got his IG on there. Turn this into a dating show, movie/dates. All right, KC Fred.
Yeah, always IG, Facebook, Twitter. Like I said, I really enjoyed it. It's definitely different than the last few movies that we have seen. So I really appreciate, the diversity and everything. But I think this movie really just proves that second chances are important, especially in life. And I kind of really think that a lot of people need to always, just because, you go fishing, you throw your line out, and just because you don't catch something the first time, don't mean that you're supposed to just give up. But, get back out there into the deep, cast it out. You never know what you're going to get. And in this case, hey, they came up big. And so very big, to be honest with you. And so you saw at the very end of the movie, here they are with a family and starting a real family of their own. And it was just really cool to be able to see, they didn't give up. And they not only finished the weddings, which is what it was called, wedding season, but they also, went higher in their career and also in love. So it was just a really good movie. Like I said, I enjoyed it, that it wasn't honestly, that they told it from their lens, from their perspective, and from their culture. And it was just beautiful to see. I enjoyed all the dancing and all that good stuff that it came with. And it was very funny and just enjoyable. So, but that's where I would go with it. Very good movie.
Right. Oh, Fred's happy, man.
Yeah.
All right, Mason.
Nothing really. I agree. Again, agree with Fred. What he had to say.
I'm dropping y'all. Yeah, keep this up.
I will say I've managed a profile for a family member before. I can vet them out, man. If you need some help, they're out there. You just might pick it up a little bit because it's the right ones. I don't know what to tell you.
He's like, don't listen to her.
That's all I got.
You give him a microphone. Yeah. Nah. Definitely a great movie. If you got, any more recommendations, because like we said, we love Bollywood movies and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So please send us some recommendations for movies, because we want to start doing like more international movies and stuff like that. So yeah, like big fan of Indian and Bollywood movies. So please give us some recommendations and stuff. Yeah, keep up the good work. Whoever written this movie, you need to definitely write some more like romance comedies, because this was a very good one, based on what I've seen so far. So yeah, I definitely liked it. It is definitely, I'll say, the top tier, But all right, we'll go ahead and close this out. Tune into the channel. Oh, before we do that, tune into the channel. Check out the other shows. Weekly we drop these movie reviews, so we definitely got a good schedule coming up. So hey, keep tuning in, and peace. Thanks for watching us. All right, bye.